Alrighty. Doc here from North America. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. What do we got going on here this morning? You can see the euro. Let me see if I hear any sound here too. Do I hear my voice? I think I hear my voice. Let's just double check. Where's the sound? There's the sound. Alright, so what we see here this morning is the euro is kind of stalled out, you know. Nothing major going on. It's up, of course. I think we're in a daily sell with a weekly buy. So let's go to the the spreadsheet, the fact. What do you call it? The fact check spreadsheet or sheet. And you can see there, line 14. So we're 6 weeks in a buy, but we're 2 days in a sell. You can see it had been going down. Looks like it's battling its way back up. Let's see what it does on the Chicago Quant. You can see that it is through the buy number at this point and is lifting up. You can see you got some red and green going on there. And so we're seeing some strength in there. You see the same thing, white line turning up on Forex. You see the dash heading up already. It's been heading up for days. And the rate of change also at the same time moving up. So we're seeing that strength there, and we're seeing the euro inch its way up, I guess you could call it. That's about it. Not really seeing any particular story or anything going on. It just seems like I saw a short squeeze story. There was talk of a short squeeze story that they were looking at the amount of index futures that are outstanding and how much was short. And it was like dramatic numbers. And so, that's what's been somewhat powering. I guess you could say it's powering it. I think it's a combination, of course. It's the Federal Reserve and the shorts who, like a Dahlia, who keeps on walking around claiming that they're going to be short, and then in essence they're not short at all. And so, and who knows, they may have even. I mean, I had a very competent or two of friends contact me in February and say, what do you think now about this bear market that it's building? And I said, bear market. It's going to go down, but I don't know if it's a bear market. It's just because it goes down doesn't mean it's a bear market. And so in the end result is that, I came to the conclusion back then that there are no more bear markets or bull markets. They're just, markets that come back to a range. Just like we see with the currency pairs now, they go to a range and they just hang out there. That's what they do. They just hang out at that range, and when they sell them down too far, I guess you could call it oversold, but I can't even imagine what a bear market is anymore, solely because we have the central banks now running the show versus the New York specialist and the money and the money funds. When the money funds and the New York specialists were running the markets, you could declare things like a bull market or a bear market, and they would lift them and lift them and lift them until they, took their profits from buying them down in the lows, and then they would release inventory and would push things down by doing so. But these times, the central bank's job is to not play the market, but to keep the market stable. And that's a whole different dynamic, keeping the market stable versus playing the markets and trying to buy lows and sell highs. Instead, we have the central banks fighting constantly to keep a stability of the markets. They want stability. And so when you get too far down, what happens is that they find a way to go back up again. That's really all that goes on there, is that they just do that instead. And so I know it seems a little odd, but it is the way they do it nowadays. And some say, oh my God, look at all the money they're spending. And it's like, I don't know if they're really spending a lot of money as much as they're buying things. And they collect the interest off of them, or they are limiting the amount of inventory that's out there, things like that. So, then we go to the currency pairs, and we find the currency pairs acting the same way, where they fight to keep them stable. And And so that's exactly where we are now. They're fighting to keep them all stable, and so I can't really equate it to a bear market or a bull market, because the New York specialists and and the money funds, what they really did is they tried to ebb and flow the marketplace over months and months and build inventory. And now with the zero sum factor situation removed, then what happens is that zero sum. What happens is that there's plenty of inventory out there whenever they want it now, and it's not the stocks themselves. They can use the derivatives, they can use the options, or they can use the derivative futures, and they can use the options, and they can use all these tools, and basically they're not playing the game of trying to buy inventory. I mean, there was a time where you had to buy inventory. It was really hard to get the inventory. There's a limited amount. Now we're in this era of what I refer to as asset inflation. And so prices are really high on all kinds of assets because we're generating a return of investment, and pretty much the rest of the world is not. It's a conversation that we never see the major networks ever have. It's very strange. I find it all strange. All right, anyway, I hope that wasn't too long-winded. Just trying to give you a flavor of where our heads are at and how we understand the markets the way they are. At least that's the way we believe the markets are. I mean, you can rebel against that and claim, anything you want. I don't have a problem with that. I just may not totally agree with it, but you know where I stand. All right, so let's just take a look at the euro and see what's going on there again. Like I said, you can see this is lifting up very well. You can see the Chicago Quant, or algo, is trying to fight its way to the plus side. Let's see if we can emphasize this a little bit more. So if we make that thick like that, and we make the white line thick like that, and then we go like that, you can see it's busted across the zero line there. Let's just make it wider so you can actually appreciate it just a little bit more. And there it is right there. You can see it's moving along at the moment. Now there's the weekly, and it's just been holding up, I guess you could say. We went into the weekly down in here, ran all the way up to here, and it's bounced around here, and that's what markets do. They don't normally go in straight lines. They go up and down. Even this one went up, 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 up for 4 days there after we got the signal. And then another day and another day. Actually, this one was on a little rampage up until here. And then it, started to bounce around, and then we went into a daily sell here. And so, but we're still holding on to that weekly buy. All right, let's jump over to cable. And if anybody has a question about any product you would like to look at, we will aim the Chicago Quant at it, and we'll take a look at it through J4X and my algorithm and see what we can learn from it together. Now let's zip over to, no, I don't want to do that. Close. Let's go over to the cable. There it is. There's the cable. And let's see. There we go. And let's put the cable up here. You see there's the cable. I guess it's working its way down a little bit. It survived also. Line 13, we are 5 weeks in a buy and 2 days in a sell. And this product has been gliding down. Hey Daniel, how you doing? Is Euro AUD a short here? It went into a buy on Friday. Since you asked, let's look. We can always come back to what we normally do, but let's just look. There it is right there. And as you can see right there, and let's go put it up. Let's see if we can find it. And that would be, and when we look at that, the Euro AUD, we're thinking that if it's a short, then the markets are getting ready to go up. I would imagine it's a short on the short term, solely because I kind of think that they're going to try to bounce here a little bit, or they're doing the bounce right now. Now, okay, now look at that. They coming in this morning, this was aimed down, And now you can see it is aimed back up again. And you can see it's here loading on J4X, trading at 64 and change, up very firm. Went into a buy 2 days ago. It is flirting with the weekly buy, as you can see right there on the quant. See right there. Let's widen that all out so we can see it a little bit better. So no, a short at the moment is a no. You can see it's trying to lift up through here. You can see we're now on a second day. I think that's where we are now. We're 1 day in a buy, yeah, right there. And now that 10-week sell-off is trying to turn into a weekly buy. Now that's going to take the whole week to play itself out. But no, I wouldn't be too fast to. The math is saying the opposite right now, not to short it. Now I did think we were going to see some strength in the stock market, but what catches my eye more than anything else is that this thing is going up, and so this money might just come towards that. We might see a little firmness for a day or two, and then it will roll over again. That's the way it's looking to me. Now, we look at the Euro AUD, and then we look at the stock indices. So let's take a quick look at the stock indices. And see if we can answer your question even a little bit more. You can see here, it's holding up in the weekly buy at the moment, and you can see here on the daily, it's trying to lift up. We'll see if but it's been in a daily sell now for what's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 days. It's been in a daily sell. Now, if this rolls over, I kind of think this is going to try to turn up and then slide down again, something like that. So we'll see. I don't know how long it's going to last. We follow the numbers, so no. The answer is no. The math is not saying be short the Euro AUD. Be careful there. All right, now we can go back to cable. I hope that answered your question. If you have another, fire it out. I don't mind answering multiple questions from the same person. It's fine with me. A question is a question. Nothing wrong with that. Now you can see here, there's the cable. And let's see if we can find it over here. Where's the cable? There. And there's the cable. As you can see, it's working its way down. When you look at J4X, you can see the white line burying itself down to the lows. You can see here, we've been in a sell for a couple days. You can see it's been heading down. And, we need to put our sell number line in there. Let's do that. So it went into the sell right there. So it's down a little bit. I guess it went into the sell in the 24s, mid 24s, something like that, low 24s, and now it's trading at 20. Went to 22.99, trading at 23.04. So it's showing some pressure in there. And let's see. There we go. Strings 2020 started in South Africa, in Cape Town. And so I have that up on the screen. They started almost an hour late. Or no, a half hour late. And so Doc will be paying attention to the strings for most of the week. This will go on for all the way up until when will this go on till? Go on till Friday. So, the physicists of the world that are into string theory will be talking all kinds of ideas, and it'll be interesting. It always is. I'm not sure how accurate it is, but it always is interesting, that's for sure. All right, now, as I said about the cable, that's where we are with that. That thing is still rolling over, and I don't really see anything particular about that more than just that it just seems to me that there's weakness there, and a quiet summer, all of it put together, means going nowhere. Now let's take a look at Turkish Lira. Wow. A lot of green there, as you can see right there. Let's put it up on J4X. Right there. There we are. It's really locked itself in that 85 area. Not really sure if there's anything that's, I do know that it seems like geopolitically there is a lot of yelling and fighting and, all kinds of negative stuff going on. So I guess the logic would be is for the currency to, kind of go sideways until they can figure out how to get out of this mess. I guess that's what it is. And we keep on hearing all kinds of wild different stories with their adventurism in Libya. So between the adventure in Libya and the President Aragon's policies on the economics, I guess we're going to see this currency just kind of hang around here until it finds a way to get going up again. You can see the daily's been up and the weekly's been up, but I mean, I'm talking about going after the 700s again, or the 7 point. It seems like it's locking itself in that area. You can see same thing here on J4X. Look at it. It's kind of stalled out in this area here. Stalled out. Look at that. Kind of odd, isn't it? I mean, it's really stalled out. Like no one cares. No one wants to do a thing. It means like no one's focused in on the product itself. Yeah. It's curious, very curious, but that is what it is. And then you have the central banks. Then you're dealing with the central banks at the same time. That's the wild thing right there, is that the central banks fight to keep everything in a range. They try to keep stability. They try to keep, less. What's the word I'm looking for? But less. Action, I guess it is. Less action. Less weakness. Less, not as much strength. We really are being held captive by the central banks at this point. And it may not be that bad. We may be in that situation where the world is so upside down that it's good that we have some responsible entities paying an interest, fighting to keep capitalism alive. Because once you lose capitalism, then we really goes backwards. The world will be just totally sideways and backwards altogether. So, sure won't be going forward. That's the obvious one. All right, let's take a look at Canadian. Not sure what last I saw. Oil was up a little bit, so the Canadian could be flat to down. Let's see if it's flat to down. Yeah, see, flat to down. That would make sense. It seems like the Canadian is moving more. I don't think Mr. Trudeau is doing anything wild and woolly. So I think instead the markets are trading the Canadian against the dollar in a fashion that says, hey, we're just hanging out here right now. Don't worry about it. And oil is going up, so we're kind of no reason to panic. We're going to let the thing drift a little bit. You can see there it's barely moving. And you can see J4X. Look at the white line. It's trying to turn down. You got the rate of change that's already turned down. And did a bounce and now it's trying to turn down again. The dashed line itself, the slower stoke, is going nowhere. It's really locked in also. Boy, you would almost think this is like the Turkish Lira, And it's funny how the Turkish Lira and the Canadian have a natural tendency to flow with each other. That's always an odd thing to see. Okay. Now, let's head over to the Swiss. And let's see what they're doing with the Swiss today. You can see on the fact check sheet, the Swiss is line 21. We are 5 weeks in a sell and 2 days in a buy. And you can see there it's doing the opposite, that's for sure. It's fighting not to do anything but go sideways. And it is down. And that's that weekly overall trend, trying to intimidate it. And there it is there on the quant. You see here it's trying to go under again. Let's fix that. Settings, default. There we are. That'll straighten that out. There we go. So you got a red dot developing. Histogram and white line are minus. Not much more than that. You know, been in a weekly sell for 5 weeks and gone nowhere. And we went into that weekly sell from the we went into the weekly sell. How come it's not up there? It's right here. We went into the weekly sell here. Let's make it a weekly right there. All right, so we went into the weekly sell there. And we were in the, what was that? That was the 96 area, okay? And then we were in a daily sell, I guess, throughout that whole thing. So we went into a daily sell here. And so, you know, went into it and then started to roll over. And never got into a daily buy until right here. And it didn't have any energy whatsoever. So it just went sideways. Then we tested it. We went into a sell and then right back into a buy again right there. Odd action there, I would say. And then, you know, it slid into a sell right there. And went the wrong way. It didn't really matter. How about that? So went back into the buy here. And now we're flirting with a sell again. Joining in with that weekly. Maybe they're going to take it down even lower. I guess a lower Swiss against the dollar is a more valuable product. So there's less Swiss to buy a dollar. And I would imagine what that is trying to tell us is that they feel very comfortable owning the Swiss against the general market. I guess, you know, that makes sense to me. Again, there's not a lot of conviction in this market. And we are now going into the summer months. And so going into next week, the math will get really sloppy about a week from now. And it'll be sloppy all the way up until going into the third week of August. So the next 4 weeks, the markets are going to be really, really sloppy. Our math is going to be sloppy. That's what brings us down to that 8.5 is the summer months and around November, mid-November to January, basically. Those two things can get really sloppy where the math itself, especially when you're at all-time highs. Now, we're not at all-time highs in these products at the moment, but when you are, it's really hard to watch the accuracy drop because we're so used to being, you know, on the right side of everything for so much. And then every time this year, for as long as I've been doing this, it goes into just a real sloppy nowheres market. All right, that is the Swiss. So now let's take a look at the yen right there and right there. There we go. Looking very firm there. We are in a daily buy now for 4 days. We should have a line on that. How about that? We don't have a line on that. There it is right there. And the yen is kind of interesting in the sense that it really is not flying. It had broken away from the dollar just a little bit, and then it right back again. And we'll see what they do with it there. Oop. I guess I got to take that, make that a buy. Now, it looks like the weekly is on the edge of a sell. Let's just take a look and see. That's line 19. We're 2 weeks in a sell. That's what's going on there. Right here. This is in a sell for 2 weeks. And this is going on the 3rd week now. But it hasn't really gone anywhere. As the kids would say in the back seat, are we there yet? It doesn't seem like it. You can see it went into the weekly sell, and it's basically right back there price-wise. I mean, it had a nice little sell-off down to 106, almost 105 and change. Right there from it. And went into a buy literally the next day. And not in a sell yet, so we'll see. And see how well it follows along. Chances are it'll follow along just fine. All right, now let's see. What's the other currencies left? Oh, GBP JPY. Why don't we take a look at that? GBP JPY. There it is, right there. GBP JPY. There it is, right there. And there's the action to that. And you can see now this is we were seeing the correlation. I forget what's the correlation for this one. I don't remember now. We just know that it moved. They call it the beast because it moves fast. Right now you can see it's under in a daily sell for a couple of days, and obviously it's going down. What's interesting is that it's trying to fall out of the weekly buy, which came in right here. Let's put that in there. There we are. There it is right there. And you can see the weekly's holding up, but now flirting with a sell. The daily is more in a sell throughout most of this adventure after the good first pop where it went from the, what is that? The 107.5 maybe? No, 132.5. It ran to almost 140. And now it's rolling over again. The daily's the real game on this particular product. If you're going to follow this thing through a quant, obviously the shorter the better. So the daily, whereas the weekly trend, is going to keep you head faked for a while. It's almost back down to where it started. So not much there. I feel kind of tired. It's a Monday. Thank goodness it's Monday, but I feel really tired. I imagine a lot of us do. It's kind of quiet today. Now, let's jump over to... Boy, I have a hankering for a cup of tea. Don't know why, but I do feel like a cup of tea. I should make this a wireless headphone set. That would make it perfect. I could walk over and grab a cup of tea. Just another room and a half away, or 2 rooms away. And so, masses in the stellar graveyard. Oh, God. I saw black holes, too. So, Event Horizon Telescope, April 2017. I guess this guy thinks he's seeing black holes. We call them plasmoids because we don't believe that there's such an animal as a black hole. Anyway, that's the cable yen. We've done the yen dollar, so we can take a look at NASCAD, see what they're doing with that. Forex is not updating. Try to reconnect. And what was that? We put in NASCAD. That's the oil one. And I guess it should be firm, and it does look like it's firm on what we're seeing there at the moment. There's NASCAD. You see it's climbing up and going back into the buy after a couple of days in sells. And at the same time, we're not seeing a lot from the... Maybe I should close this and reopen it. There we are. You can see there on the Chicago Quant, it's trying to lift back up again. Here comes Swiss. All right, let's see what they have there. Having a little problem authenticating, but I'm sure it will. And so that's where we are with this NASCAD. Now let's just take a quick look on the oil as well. We wait for J4X to kick out. And oil is lifting up. It's trying to show a little strength in there. It's up about 40 cents. And you can see the weekly's been in a weekly buy for a while now. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Going on an 8th week now. Woo. Can you imagine how the person who sold oil at $40 minus... They must be, it was bad enough that it closed up $10 for the day. But now we are in the 40s. Oh, man, that must really be painful. I would have taken the delivery and then exchanged certificates. I would have found a certificate to exchange. All right, there it is. And you can see crude oil is holding firm. Probably a sign of the economy getting ready to open up, and that's a real positive thing. All right, so NASCAD is filled in. You can see it's trying to hold up in here. You see it on our crude oil is trying to lift up. We really don't think this thing has much weakness in it. We think crude oil is going to find a way to be firm. And I don't, why not? I mean, really, oil is needed, and so if oil is needed, then what's going to happen is it's going to go up in value. More buyers than sellers usually drive prices up, and vice versa. More sellers and less buyers drive prices down. Ooh, I do need that cup of tea. I'm not sure why. All right, I've had my coffee. Let's see, where are we at now? So I guess what we can do is we can drift over to crude oil from here and take a look at that, since we're looking at the NASCAD and we looked at the Canadian. So let's take a look at that. What a quiet day, huh? Let's see. There it is right there. Activate. Oh, we already had it up there. Crude oil. There we are. And so you can see it's trying to lift back up again. J4X is playing with this plateau right there, as you can see it right there. Just playing with the plateau, like as if it's going to get more legs and get going. And I guess we can look at it that way. I mean, it was all the way up into the 80s, so low 80s. So it's come back 50. How do you when you really think about that, it's kind of fun in some ways. So you go like, okay, it was low 80s, and then it traded the minus 40, so that's minus 120. So I don't know, what's like a 0.618 of that of 100 and what did I say, 120. So that's like I don't know, $68, something like that. Is that right? Let's see. So we're looking at from minus 40 and seeing how it's going to bounce back. And we've seen oil bounce back so far. It's gone from minus 40 to plus 40. So that's an $80 swing right there alone, which is pretty big. Pretty big. And as you can see there on the J4X, white line's been holding up very well. Rate of change has not. It's been kind of sideways, and you can tell it's been sideways there. And you can see the other stochastics moving up also. Interesting. All right, now, and let's put the oil up there, since we have it on the quant. There it is. There we go. So you can see that also is going into some sideways action. In other words, they're all developing ranges to sit in because there's no conviction to want to be long at the moment. And I guess, between the corona and the crazy media, everybody's sitting back and saying, I think I'll wait. Why not? I'm not in any rush. And that's pretty much where they probably are. Makes total sense. All right, let's see. What else is there to talk about when it comes to the oil? We've looked at the Canadian, and we've looked at the NASCAD. We mentioned that. And we've also looked at, when the oil market goes up, the stock market is usually firm. So, we looked at that Euro AUD, which seems to emulate that. And let's just take a look at the stock market itself. There's the S&P 500, showing the strength in there. And which is a pretty good move going on at the moment. How high did it go? It's today got up to, let me see, what do we have there? We're looking in the is that 50s? 25 area, that's all. Not a lot of explosion there. See there on the quant, there's the oil. Let's take a look at the S&P 500 right there. It's trying to turn up into a daily buy. It's still in that weekly buy. As silver, we thought silver was going to, after that long run, figured that they would do a little digestion and then turn up again. So now they're in the middle of the selling in that. And you can see here they can't even get the S&Ps into a sell. I think they will this week. I just think they will. That's just me guessing. Nothing more than that. And let's take a look at silver. Right there. Silver, ooh. They're pushing it down again. Not as much, but they are pushing it down. Not a lot of buyers there. And we keep on expecting to see these buyers come back. So, silver will probably bounce around, do a little digesting in here. Let's make J4X a little bit wider so you can appreciate it. Yeah, it's been a sideways plateau. And we think it wants to take out these highs here of the mid-20s, low 20s, like 23 to 25. Now let's put it up on the quant. Right there. You see, it slipped into a weekly sell last week. It's not really rolling over right now at the moment. It looks like it's trying to. But, the dots are telling us that it has settled in a weekly sell last week. All right, just feels so quiet today, doesn't it? It's like no one's really got the energy to do anything, so they're just kind of like listening to me, and I'm rambling, and we're trying to, find something that will tell us how we can make some money, be it the long or the short, and that's the whole name of the game, really. Always hunting for that tell. I was watching, matter of fact, Robin had called me on Sunday, and I was watching Jim Simons being interviewed, I think from his godson. And his godson is a PhD. His father and James Simon were really good friends, and they both were physicists, or he was a mathematician, of course, but his father was a physicist at Stony Brook. And so the son got a PhD in physics. And he has this podcast thing, and so he had Simon on there for an hour plus, like an hour and 20 minutes, and it really touched on some good physics, and it's always nice to see the numbers, being pushed around. So, but I'm not sure why I took that tangent, but I thought it was interesting. Oh, Jim Simon. So, he was talking about. Was it Simon was talking about? I guess I was looking at the stocks. He was talking about quant funds. That's what it was. He was talking about quant funds, and he says he doesn't think that there's that many quant funds out there still. And his expression was that they fight or they work at finding leading indicators, and they use them until they run out, until they stop going altogether. So I thought that was interesting, predicting the future events and at a higher, better than 50%, he was saying. And so they use a bunch of different indicators trying to, get it to tell you where it's going. What's string theory saying? Thank you for responding. Gotcha. Thank you. We are watching. Okay. So there's 93 people, or 92 people, and myself are watching string theory out of South Africa this morning. All right, and I thought that was an interesting thing about the Simon. He was talking about his, how they try to, be ahead of the curve by just hiring the most brilliant minds possible and letting them develop indicators that show future events to occur. I think that's, I think that's a great way of describing it. But it's always nice to hear someone like that say it too. All right, let's jump over to the gold. Oh no, wait, that's silver, right? Yeah, that's silver. And so let's jump over to the gold, right there. Oh, and let's put the silver up on the. Yeah, I have it up there already. So let's move over to the gold. There we are. You see, this is still inching up, whereas silver's in a sell. This thing has no problem staying in a weekly buy, and you can see the weekly. What's the weekly doing here? So we have. So did gold go into a weekly sell? No, that's buys. They're buys. So no weakness there yet, but you can see this week is starting off poor. Maybe we'll get into a sell. We've seen this thing go into sells and then they turn around and bring it back again. They don't have a lot of desire to take the metals down. So if there's going to be some selling, I guess they're selling it in the silver or the platinum. Platinum's been in a weekly. Let's go to that fact sheet. I think platinum's in there for 2 weeks. 3 weeks now. So platinum's in a weekly sell for 3 weeks. So what we see there is that there's no hunger for the metals. They might be buying the gold, but they're selling all the other products. And still, what is it, $200+ off the all-time high. So, I mean, we rarely see this thing move $30 and $40 in a day. It would take a bunch of days to get that thing into a plus. All right. Let's see. That is the gold. We did the crude. And no one seems to have any interest in anything particular. So let's take a look at the stock indices. We did, a few minutes ago, take a look at the S&P. Let's see, where's it at? Right here. Let's see, where's it at? All right. Stock indices. There's the S&P 500. Well, let's use the Dow 30 for the moment. See, the Dow 30 is up about 190 points. I think it closed at. Let's see, where did they close that product? I want to say that they closed it. I have it written down here. Let's see where they closed S&Ps. Not S&Ps, the Dow. Looks like the Dow closed right around 2,500. It was like 2513 or 2515 or something like that. So it's up about 180 points. It's almost like up 200 points for the day so far. Markets haven't even opened. Just the electronic market. You can see there, again, that's gold. And let's go over to this. You can see J4X pushing down hard right here. Oop, where's that mouse right there? You can see it pushing down hard here. And they're trying to roll over too. And you can see in our math. Where is it at? Right there. You can see that's flirting with the weekly sell and fighting with the daily buy at the moment. I don't think it. Like I said, I thought we see a little strength here in the 24-hour period, and then they try to sell them down again. We'll see. It just seems like we've been in a weekly buy for a long period of time, so it must be getting close to the time where nah, no thanks. That's usually the way it works. Just a matter of time. Just a matter of time. All right. Let's take a look at the Nasdaq, because this morning when we got up, I noticed that the Nasdaq was much lower, and you can see there it's still not even challenging the daily buy number. Weekly, it was very close on Friday, but it didn't go into a sell there. Let's see. There it is, the Tech 100. Now they're trying to lift this up, but not a lot. A little surprised, but I guess they're such a high-flying product. They're basically on the edges of all-time highs still. I think they are. They're trading in the 90s, right? 98, 99, 98.42 right now, down 23. Whereas S&P 500 is up 6 points. The Nasdaq is down 24 points. So it shows you that something's going on in there. Somebody is feeling the pain. They're not feeling the love, that's for sure. If anybody knows which stock is being beat up, just let me know and we'll pay attention to it a little bit more. All right. Look at that line. They are burying it, aren't they? Maybe this is the I don't know. I'm convinced that this market wants to go sideways down for a couple of weeks. We'll see. And I expect to see, this is literally the middle of the trough. I'll tell you what Doc's looking at. It's not very scientific. I'm looking at Mercury goes retrograde. It's been that way since the 18th, and that's about it. And so that's what we're really looking at the moment. We're not really seeing any real conviction on that at all. I mean, they must be. Are they beating up the? Let me see if I can find the stocks. Is it the Apple? I mean, I know that the Dow and the S&P 500 are moving up because of some of the old stocks are looking pretty good. But okay, yes. And we want to go back to the Mosaic Classic. There we are. And let's see if we can find out what Apple is doing. They are trading right now, so spreadsheet, there it is. So Apple is unchanged. Amazon's up $5. I see Facebook's down almost, it's down $7.50. That's what's beating up the Nasdaq, because the Facebook is the fangs that they talk about. The Facebook that has all those modern stocks, and so we're not seeing any real damage being done to any of the others. But Facebook itself is down almost $8. It was down $8. It's down $7.60 right now. So that's what's going on over there. So I guess they have their hands in their pockets in a sense. And that's probably why we're seeing the action that we see right now. All right, we'll take another sip of water here. Quiet day. No one asking any questions besides Daniel. Daniel had a good question. All right. What else can we look at here? We've looked at both stock indices. We've looked at the oil markets, and we've looked at the pairs trades that match up to these things. And I guess one of the things we want to keep an eye on is the Euro AUD. If nothing else, it's probably going to keep on acting stronger, even at this time period, I would imagine. Oh, I know what I was saying earlier. One of the reasons why I thought we were going to be the way we are is Mercury went retrograde back in the previous Thursday. So it's been 12 days now. It comes out of it on the 12th. So it went in June 18th, and it comes out of it July 12th. So basically that's 24 days. And so I was thinking, in the middle, it probably will put a little bounce up. And so today is the 13th day. So, in other words, 12 on top of, no, I'm sorry, it's 11th. Today's the 11th day. So 12 on top of, 11 on top of, 12 on top of it is tomorrow. So I figured that they would try to do a little bounce here for a day or two and then roll over again, go into a sell again. But the money may not even be that confident at the moment. So they may not even be pushing whatsoever. They may be saying, hey, they're both telling us math-wise that, it's a down action. And Mercury is in retrograde, and, these weird astrological things can do that. Coca-Cola, Unilever said that they won't advertise on Facebook. Is that what did it? Or other social medias for the foreseeable future? Whoa. Oh, well. What did they do? I think they've really got him, Zuckerberg, in a baffle. I think that, they're putting the pressure on him simultaneously, and at the same time, they are trying to, have a direction. It's a very odd game going on there. All these boards coming out about social this and social that, and at the same time using slave labor in other countries. I don't know. It's so, what's the word I'm looking for? Not provocative, but it's so hypocritical. Very hypocritical. So you have these companies talking about social, needs here in the United States as they make products with slave labor and then ship them into this country. It's the weirdest thing, isn't it? And when you don't have a media, like we've lost our media to the Democrat Party. They control it now. They own like 80. They added like the 6 major media companies. They own 5 of them. So something like 85% of all the media is repeated everywhere in the country. Same topic, same wording, same line. There's a radio show on in... Daniel, thank you very much for that insight on the Coca-Cola and Unilever. It's called Rush Limbaugh. And he does that. He plays like the major TV stations in every major area. And they say, just he uses a couple words. And they use the same identical word everywhere. Dozens of them. So, dozens of cities. So when you have a media that's connected to one political party, and what the problem is that obviously the Republicans haven't gone out and bought some TV channels. That's what they need to do. Most of the, I guess what it is that TV is the Democrats and the newspapers, those two things. And the Republicans use the internet and AM radio. So that's just very strange altogether. I mean, just the whole combination. So, like, there are people that'll say stuff to me from the webinar here, and they'll text me, and they'll be quoting stuff from the general media that I know is like almost 100% false. And I go, nah, don't worry about it. It don't mean anything. And they go, yeah, but how come everybody in America is saying it? And it's like, well, really, it's only 5 entities that are saying it. They just own, 85% of the media. So it's always that strange dilemma of what you can trust and what you can't trust. And that's why we have our fact check sheet right up there every day. We're in a weekly buy, we're in a weekly sell. How long have we been in a weekly buy? When did we say it? When did the math say it? we're in a daily sell. You know, when's the last time we were in a daily sell or a daily buy, that type of thing. And so that's why we like having the fact check sheet. We find that to be really important, which is really curious, you know, because imagine if they tried. I had this one physicist that texted me over the weekend and said something like, if science had to hold up in the court of law, they couldn't do it. Modern science, you know, we're electric universe scientists, and the gravitational scientists, like that believe in black holes and stuff like that. You know, we've already clarified what they are. They're plasmoids, and but the main modern physics still talks crazy stuff, and there's no stopping them. They just do, and you can't stop them. So, all right. What should we call today? I mean, like on Friday, we had some interesting names. You know, we've had some good names. What should we call today? I mean, we need a title for this, and it's been kind of like, I guess, start of the week. I sold a contango in gold. It was still around $12, so can't really say anything about that. We were talking about central banks last week, and you know, currencies and pairs and inflation, but today it was just a look through. Forex at the start of the week, maybe something like that. Maybe that'll be the title. Let's see. Anybody have an idea what the title should be? Hi. How you doing? You're just coming into the end. We're getting ready to run away. But we will be back tomorrow, this time. Same channel, same place. Let's see. We're just trying to figure out what the title should be for today. TLE title. There we go. All right. Anyway, this is Doc from North America. We will catch you all, and I say hi and bye. So as we leave every day nowadays, I've been singing my little song. So we're going to just do it again. Happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you